Yesterday in the city of Portage. We had received a request from the Florida police authorities to check a house in Portage to look for a young girl.
There was cops all over the place, and I seen them put the two women, and each woman had a child in their hand going to the cop car, and then I saw them drive away with them.
Both the teletype and the email that we received from the Florida authorities said that she was a missing child and it was a parental abduction. Two of my officers went to a house in the 300 block of Oneida Street, which is north central of the city, and found three females, two adults and one teenager female, and then they also found three small children. When the officers interviewed the adults and the teenager, it was obvious that the people were lying to the officers. They were not giving truthful information as to who they were. They could not produce any identification or refused to produce any identification. And at that time, we transported the three females, the two adults and the juvenile, along with three young children back to the Portage Police Department here. They were traveling together. It sounds like they met down in Florida, and they've been traveling the country together. During the course of our interviews, we were told that there was another child at the apartment, that the child was in a closet, and that the child was injured severely, including severe burns. Two of the officers went back to the apartment. They made entry under exigent circumstances, and they found the boy in the closet, and he had been burned badly and he had other wounds. An ambulance was summoned from Divine Savior Hospital EMS. He was taken to Divine Savior emergency room, and MedFlight was contacted, and he was then transported to Madison late yesterday afternoon, early evening, where he has continued to be treated for his wounds.
He was seen by a child abuse pediatrician, and the diagnosis that was given is that there's definite abuse, there's definite serial child torture, there is profound malnutrition of a child secondary to intentional withholding of feeding, is consistent with chronic medical neglect secondary to withholding medical treatment for potential life-threatening injuries sustained secondary to inflicted injury, and is consistent with educational neglect. Yes, information is received on how he was burned. It was burned in different ways, usually with water.
Scalding water?
Yes, and boiling.
This child looks very similar to the pictures, maybe even a little bit worse than pictures that you see of people that are coming out of concentration camps in World War II. It's horrible what we're seeing.
Lieutenant Moore was at the scene, and he's a 36-year veteran of this department, and he said this is the worst he's seen in 36 years. It's the worst I've seen in 30.
Once the cameras are off, we are willing to show you a few selected photos of the boy so that you have some idea. This is not for publishing to anybody, but just so that you, as the reporters for the public, can have some idea of what we're talking about with this abuse.
I've seen him a few times on the stoop with little kids, but I've never seen any older kids or anything like that. Once in a while you'd see a couple little ones, but they wouldn't stay out there very long.
Now, as we were talking to the 11-year-old victim, and his sister is the 15-year-old girl that we took into custody with social services, their mother was missing, and we were told that the mother has not been seen since Memorial Day weekend. Each of these people, when we first interviewed them, said they did not know where she was. Detective Lieutenant Hahn and other detectives and officers have worked on this case around the clock last night and this morning, and information was received that the mother was killed and that her body was buried. At 2:20 p.m. today, a body was recovered this afternoon.
Yeah. It's scary.